Hi there, this is Art and Such, and today I have for you a Rainbow Loom tutorial for how to make the penguins from Madagascar. Now, I just have one here, but I'll tell you how to adjust it to get the taller penguins. And otherwise, we're just going to go ahead. You'll need black, white, and orange. And for the eyes, I'm going to be using a couple of small pearl beads. And I'll be threading them on with a piece of dental floss. I'll show you how to do that. If there's something else you want for your eyes, googly eyes or pony beads or just bands, you can go with that as well for sure. You're going to need a hook. You can have a holding hook on hand if it'll help you out. One C-clip and your loom. And I've got mine in the offset configuration. So without further ado, let's make the arms. Take two black and your hook. Take the two together, stretch it, put it on the end, twist it once, twice, 3 times. And we're going to take 3 blacks and slide the first piece over those 3. Put them on the end of your hook with a little tension, press forward, slide down and replace. Add another 3 bands together. And then we're going to narrow this down by coming down to 2 bands at a time. And we need 5 sets of 2 or double bands. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And at this point, if you have a holding hook where you'd like to put this, you can do that, or you can leave it where it is. I'm just going to move it down a little bit and continue on the same hook. Second arm, 2 bands, wrapped 1, 2, 3, did I say 4? 3 or 4. You can decide, you can make it as tight or loose as you want there. 3 bands, slide it on, replace, 3 bands, and then 5 sets of double bands. Okay, let's move on to the feet. Using orange for the feet. And we're going to take a single, wrap it on the end nice and tight, 1, 2, 3, 4. Take a single, stretch it, twist it, bring it back onto itself so it's doubled over. Put it on the end and slide it through. Put the other side back. And we need 2 more of these. These are going to be like they're not really toes, but I don't know, kind of like toes. 1, 2, 3, 3 or 4, and double it over, slide it through. And then we're going to take another single, stretch it, twist it, double it over, slide it through all 3 of those toe-like pieces. I'm sure there's a technical term here. It's just slipping my mind. I can't think what you'd call them. Another doubled over single, also orange. Slide it through the bands on your hook and replace. You can slide this down or put it onto another hook. We'll make one of these for the other side. 1, 2, 3, 3 or 4. Double over a single, slide it through, replace, repeat. Double over a single, slide it through. This one doesn't want to go. This is where it comes in handy to have fingernails. It's tough bands there. And one more for the second side. Wrap 1, 2, 3, 4. Double it over. Slide it through. Place. And then I'm going to take those 3 pieces together, and they're all going to go onto a doubled over single orange. Put the other side back on, and last time doubled over single orange. Okay, we're gonna come to the loom and I'm gonna make the, what do we think? Should we make this beaky part now or later? I guess we can make it now. Originally I put it on the loom while I had the other pieces on, but this will probably be a little less busy. So we're gonna come down towards the bottom of the loom, and let's go up 4 pegs from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. And double over, why do I have orange? Yeah, it is orange. Double over a single orange, put it from the 4th peg from the bottom to the 3rd peg from the bottom. We'll repeat that again on the next peg to the next peg below. Let's do that for the opposite side. 4th peg from the bottom to the 3rd peg from the bottom, and the 3rd peg from the bottom to the 2nd peg. And then we need to take another, double it over, and we're going to come down once from the 2nd peg from the bottom to the bottommost peg in the center. And the same thing on the other side. Take a single, double it over, and we're going to stretch it across. Right there, the 3rd peg up. And finally take a single, put it on the bottom center peg and twist it nice and tight 1, 2, 3, 4 times. If that's too tight for you, you can loosen it up a little bit. If you are comfortable and want to make it a touch tighter, you can. And we're going to be reaching through that top cap band and trying to get the next 2, which are coming from the right or further side. To help me out, I'm going to use my finger to pull it over, get under that cap band, get the next 2 and bring them up to the side. Go back under the cap band, and there should be 2 more, or a doubled over band, so 2 loops sitting there. Bring them to the closer side or the left side. And on either side we want to reach in. And the open part of my hook is pointing up. I'm going to scoop those 2 loops up and over onto the next peg, push back that holding band and move up again, and repeat on the other side. We don't have anywhere to put this just yet, so what we'll do is take your hook and point it downwards through the bands on that 4th peg up, reach across and go downwards through the pegs on the other side opposite, and carefully ease this off. So at this point, you should have a little beak piece, which looks a little bit loose here for some reason. No, we're okay. The beak piece, your 2 feet pieces, and your 2 wings, arms. You can put your hook down for the moment, and we're going to come to the loom and start on the body. Starting with black, you need 2 black bands, and you're going to come from the top center to the top side, and top center to the top side, and come down twice on each of the rows. And this is the kind of project I like because everything on this project is symmetrical. And that means that whatever you put on one side, or even for that matter on one of the rows, will be the same everywhere else. And let's switch to white. We're going to come down until you get to the 3rd peg from the bottom. So I'll count this as I go here. Uh-oh, almost lost my high bead. So starting at the 3rd peg down on each of the rows, we're coming down once, and this is with double bands each time. 2 times, 3 times, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 times. Now this is one place where you can make an adjustment. If you want your penguin to be longer in body, then at this point you could add on another 2 sets and go right to the bottom of the loom. And if you wanted to make an extra, a particularly long penguin, long body penguin, you could even do a couple of, like a section, take it off, add more, and then reconnect it at the bottom. but I think even adding 2 pieces, like 2 sets, would probably give you a good added length, especially as the longer bodied penguin is thinner, and that'll make him look taller as well. And basically, to make them thinner, you just leave off the side extensions. So if you skip the step for the side extensions, which we'll get to soon, and you do 2 more sets, you'll get a longer body penguin. Last row, double bands, all white, coming down the middle 8 times. I think we're like more than halfway through this. And I think I have most of the Madagascar characters done finally. After this penguin, we just have a hippo, I believe. I think I've got most of the rest, but I could be wrong on that. I have to check. Okay, let's take 2 white bands, put them on 2 first fingers. Oh, hold on. You can leave it in there or put it inside. Let's put our beak on first, actually. And even before that, should do this in order here. Okay, the second peg's down, take a black and bring it over those 3 pegs. So over the second peg on the sides, second pegs, and over the center second peg. Below that, we're going to take a white band. You might as well put these down for the moment. And you're going to take your eye pieces, white band at the ready. As I said, I'm using dental floss. If your beads have a larger hole, you can put them right onto a hook to transfer them. If you're using bands, you can do it via hook as well. For my little beady eyes, the holes are small, so I'm going to use a piece of floss to thread through both of them. There's 1 and 2. Now I'll put that white band on the end of my floss. You can use a very thin wire or perhaps a needle and thread if you're looking for another thing to use. And I'm going to come back over and back through the beads from the opposite direction. Now, as I said, this is only necessary for me because the beads have such a small hole. It's pretty well impossible to just pop them on using my fingers and they won't fit on the hook. So this is going to make my job easier. But I do think I'm going to need some new floss soon. This one's getting a little bit flimsy to work with. There's 1 and 2. And slide them onto the band. And this band will come across the 3rd pegs down on either side. I'll put it on and then I'll hold it up for you to see. Take your hook and come between your beads or bands for the eyes. Separate the white band they're on and bring it so that it sits on that 3rd peg down. Now we can take that beak off and it's going to come, let's see, we have altogether 8 little loops on the hook. So we have 2 sets of 4, 2 sets of 4. I'm not sure why mine ended up so loosey-goosey here at the bottom. I think I had them all doubled over correctly. Anyway, and these are going to sit on the same peg that has the eyes. So I'm going to take the first 4 and push them down onto the 3rd peg down on the left, the side closest to me. Carefully take my hook out, stretch it across, and put it on the other side. And the last 4, that is. Okay, so it's going to sit in the middle for the moment. Now, where were we? Isn't that funny? I can't remember at this moment, but that's stipple those 2 white bands were for. Maybe for the chain, but we're coming back to that later. Alrighty, let's put a doubled over single white on across the 4th pegs from the top. Make a little triangle. And then we're going to use single white bands on each of the sets below. So across the 5th pegs down, the 6th ones, 7th pegs, 8th pegs, 9, 10. Of course, now I know what those doubles were for. That's what we need right now. 2 white bands, and we're going to put the legs on them. Put it on the end of your hook, slide one foot and the other foot over, and put these onto the 3rd pegs from the bottom on either side so that it sits over the last pegs that were used. Separate the 2 feet and pull those white bands over the center peg. And once more, if you have gone to the bottom of the loom, of course you'd put your legs, your feet part over there where you ended. Now we can add the arms, and they are going onto the 5th pegs from the top. So it's 2 pegs down below the eyes and the nose. I'm just transferring the bands straight onto the loom. Now, if you're doing the longer bodied penguin, if you want to do all 4 and of different lengths, then at this point you could start loop it up. And if you're not sure how to do that, then jump ahead in the video until you see me back at the bottom of the loom, and we'll come up together. And otherwise, if you want him to be all cute and squatting around, we need a side extension to round him out. And these incidentally are to help kind of keep the body together so it doesn't flop all about. Now, the side extension's pretty straightforward. We're going to take a single white, wrap it once and twice on the hook, and we need a chain of 6 double white bands, 6 sets. So there's 1, 2, I'm taking 2 bands together each time, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we need to switch to black and do 2 sets of double bands in black. There's 1 set and 2. And the bottom part of the chain, you can pull it tight and you'll see 3 little loops there. Those will go onto one side on the bottom peg that we've used, and the part that's on the hook will stretch upwards and go onto the same piece that has the little beak and the eyes. So that's the 3rd peg from the top. It doesn't really matter which side you put this on because we're going to be putting it on both sides. Now, because we don't want this to sit loose like this, we need to connect it or attach it. To do that, you'll take 1 piece out of each chain. So I'm coming to just below the peg that had where we attached it, and I'm going to pull 1 section over and repeat that for each of the pieces below. I only want to do 1 part. I'm trying to grab a piece that's closer to the inside so this doesn't twist around a lot. And 2 more, 1 more. And let's make one of these for the other side. And I think that's the last thing before we loop up. Single white, wrap it twice, 6 sets of double white. Three, 4. Actually, there is one more step, and I'm sorry, I forgot one thing in my materials list, which is that I'm going to be using a permanent marker to make my eyes show up on there. So I'm hoping you have one on hand, or a bead that's a color that will work for this. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 sets of black. And I would suggest using beads instead of bands on this particular project, because if you use a black bead or a black band, it will probably blend in with the colors or the pieces you have already. Whereas if you have a pony bead and you draw the pupil on, or you can print out a picture and glue it on, or use glue on a googly eye, or use a googly eye button, any of those things will probably show up a little bit better and be a little bit cleaner and more striking looking, I think. But as for me, I'm just going to use the marker. Okay, so we have everything on. We're ready to loop up. I'm going to do the sides first. Now all along the side there's a bottom row of double bands, and that's what we're going to be looping upwards. If you made the longer version, you won't have these top ones here, but you'll loop up just the same way. You just won't have that extension. So I'm going to go to that third peg from the bottom, push back the top 4 loops, scoop up the bottom 2, and bring it forward onto the peg above. Push it down just a little bit and repeat. We're going to go to the top of the loom. And as I'm going, I'm pushing back the triangle bands, all of those holding bands that are sitting across. And I only want the 2 bands that are on the bottom. In this case, I grabbed more than 2, so let's check that again. There. And push back the holding bands, push back that extension, get under the eyes and the nose or the beak, bottom 2 black, push back your triangle, bottom 2 black, and you're going to loop inwards to the top center. There shouldn't be anything sitting below on that side now. We can come to the other side and do the same thing. It helps, you can turn your loom around or shift its position. I find this is easiest for me when I have it on my lap, or if I have I've got a little lap desk I'll put it on so that have a flat surface, but it's like right in an easy reach. If you're having trouble seeing the band, you can go to the side and use your hook or your finger to tug it out so you can get like a better feeling of it, of where it is, like that. And we'll loop into the middle again. You can check that there aren't any bands sitting loose underneath. And let's go up the middle. We're going to come between the legs, get the bottom 2 white, and bring them up to the next peg. And keep going straight. When you get to the beak, just pause for a minute because there's one thing we've got to do there. So I'm going to stop at that 4th peg from the bottom. I'm going to lift the beak and put it over that peg, or down under rather. Push back to get the bottom 2 white, bringing them up. And this will keep the beak from having white looped over it. This way it stays on the top. Push back the eyes and get the bottom 2 black. Loop forward one last time. You're going to take a black band, put it on 2 of your fingers. With your hook, point the open part away from you and go down through the bands on the top center peg. Grab that black band and turn your hook away, slide it up and through. And now I have the open part facing up. I'll put the other side on and slide the first piece over the top to create a slip knot. You can put this on a hook or a C-clip or your finger. More carefully, you're going to remove this from the loom. See, I'm getting impatient here. There. All right, let's turn to the back and put your hook under a couple of bands. Bring that securing band through and put it on a C-clip. I like to put that C-clip under another nearby band just so it doesn't flop about. Let's turn it back over, and I'm gonna try and bring a couple of these white bands over the arm so it sits closer to the front. Can play around a little bit with the arms position that way. Oh, no, not that one. Yeah. Hold on. Maybe we'll bring it under a couple of blacks on this side. Okay, there. And the last touch would be to take your permanent marker, if you've used beads, and dot on your little eyes. If you want to pose the hands or position them, you can just set them where you want them to be. And then take your hook and slide it from the back to the front. Grab that arm piece, pull it under, and then put a C-clip on. I think they're just fine on the side. And the same goes for that loose piece on the nose. I could come through, bring it to the back, and put it on a C-clip. So let me show you the finished penguin one more time. I think they're super cute. And I'll put this on my Madagascar list, and you can check that out. All right, thank you for watching. Bye, guys.